We have a $3.55 donation from Awesome Fish. Dysentery hype! Shoutouts to my brother, who apparently didn't want to help me make this measly donation. And because of that, we're not saving the animals, bro. We need to kill them all to survive on the trail. We have a $10 donation from The Thunder. Glad to be on the couch for Skybills, hoping the Skywagon doesn't get dysentery. But it's a real thing in other countries, and I'm glad this event can help Doctors Without Borders help out people suffering around the world. Keep up the good work and keep the donations coming. We have a $50 donation from Dewey C. Woohoo! Oregon Trail Run. World record to die of dysentery. This game taught me some harsh lessons about horses and rivers in my 4th grade computer science classes. Also, I have 2 dogs that I would save from a planet exploding. Save the animals! We have a $100 donation. Sorry about that. We have a $100 donation from Eggplant Wizard. The Silly Games block has been amazing. Between all the robot animals killed in Space Station Silicon Valley, all the pedestrians killed in Roundabout, and likely all the bison to be slaughtered for meat in Oregon Trail, please put this money to show mercy on the Super Metroid animals. Save them, please. We have a $500 donation from Steegee. I must have lost 100 family members to dysentery in the 2nd grade playing this game. Too bad MSF wasn't around to help him out. Enjoying the run so far and keep up the good work?
That's for starting and stopping the timer.
Okay. Thanks, Worm.
Good job.
Anchor me.
me. I'm just thinking about that stage 2 theme right now.
Are you wishing that we brought a glockenspiel?
I wish we could have fit a glockenspiel up here.
Too bad.
No.
I'll take. There's one left. Yeah. I got the pink one there.
That one?
Just go to the one with the microphone to the right. Right. So yeah.
Branch,
On the-
far right.
on the TV.
Yeah, there you go.
Far right. Got it.
You got it.
You get the good color.
I got the best color.
Best color.
Is it pink? Oh. Well then.
All right. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so this is Marisa and Alice's Trap Tower. It's a puzzle platformer much in the vein of Lost Vikings. You can see there are 2 characters that he has to control, and the goal is to collect enough books to beat each world, the books in the treasure chests, and get both characters to an exit. The game is incredibly tricky, much like Lost Vikings, in that because the player has to control both characters at the same time, you have to manage where they are and optimize their movement as much as possible. One of the very important things about this game is that it offers a button that allows you to send automatic walking commands to the other character. So you can switch between both characters whenever he wants. So whichever character has the arrow above her head is the currently active character, and the other character can have auto walking commands, which are a little slower, but it allows them to move when the other character is being controlled. Because of this auto walking command, very much of the game is very muscle memory intensive. He's very focused on controlling the characters because if something goes wrong, then it can go south very fast as he tries to think about his position and how he can recover as efficiently as possible. I've also completely neglected to mention until now the tower mechanic. So there is a red tower and a blue tower, and there are these bubbles and these blocks with arrows on them that when they've been touched, they will cause the tower to move up and down, which causes these puzzling interactions in changing the stage so that it can be traversed properly. Aside from that, the 2 characters differ. They have the same movement and jump powers. The only difference is that Marisa with the hat has the momentary flight, and Alice can send dolls, which can remote trigger the tower controls and kill enemies and destroy blocks. Anything else about the basic mechanics that I may have missed over
Well,
mentioning?
it's kind of demonstrated more in stage 2 than in stage 1, but although the characters start on their respective sides of the tower, they are by no means locked to that side.
Yes, in World 1, all of the stages he played, the towers are very separate entities, but then they get into World 2 and you realize, oh, the towers are connected, and it makes the game a lot more complicated. So he's only doing some of the stages. This is any percent. And okay, so I'm gonna stop right there for a moment. He missed a trick shot right there where he tried to drop a doll through the breaking ice blocks to hit the switch, and he didn't quite get it, so he missed those 2 books. But he only needs a certain amount of books to beat the world, so he'll just pick up 2 other books later on in the world.
Yeah, it just saves like 2 or 3 seconds to get anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
But because this is any percent, he's only picking up as many books as he needs to unlock the next world. The amount of books goes up with each world, and so in these early worlds, he'll only be playing a few of the stages to pick up enough books, but as the game goes on, each world will add more and more books to the quota to the point that he'll have to play all of the stages in some of the later worlds. And the game gets really tricky in the later worlds. So I'm going to take this moment to remind everyone to take it easy.
Everyone, take it easy.
It's important to take it easy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, if I did get the trick shot, I would have skipped the first book in the previous stage, and that book I got with Marisa on the left. So it's just a little tiny time saver, and it's just nice to have the extra books.
This stage starts off with having to raise the tower in order to reveal the floor at the bottom. As you can see, because the tower is not scrolled all the way up on screen, it means that the floor is not solid and can have your characters fall, as just happened here. So always, like, got to be very aware of how you're controlling your characters and that you're not about to do something without the tower set properly. Okay. There's a... I'm not entirely sure if that's intended, but for some reason you can fly there and trigger the door without solid ground. Okay, so this stage is the first stage that introduces chest duping. So by touching the chest exactly at the same time with both characters trigger the treasure chest and get the book inside of it. And this allows him to skip books later on in the world. As you can see in the upper right, he now has 7 out of 5 books in the stage. Totally legit.
It's important to mention you can dupe things other than chests, but I think only keys are actually beneficial. Apparently, we actually just tested this right before the run. You can dupe the balloons, but it doesn't actually do anything. It only triggers the floor to move once.
You can actually... Okay, so the doors in the stages are supposed to be only triggered by one character, and then once a door has been triggered, the other character has to find another door. And you can duplicate doors. I don't know if we've really found a good way to use that in the run. I actually only found out about this like 12 hours ago.
Yeah, it happened to me about last time I played the game on my stream, where I randomly entered both of the doors at the same time. Or one door with both of the characters at the same time. It just happened to happen, and I'm like, what? I've never seen that before. And then it only saved like a few frames in that stage because both the doors were right next to each other. So it was a good reaction for sure. In fact, it was this stage right here that I found it in. I will say with this run, it is kind of surreal to play because for a lot of it, I'm kind of blind to what the other character is doing. There are plenty of inputs I do that I can't actually see the character I'm doing the inputs with, just because I can't look at 2 things at the same time. So that's a thing. I will say another thing that I really enjoy this game, the fact that there's a platformer out there that you can control with multiple characters at once. There aren't really that many out there. Lost Vikings is kind of one of them, but there aren't really any specific platforming mechanics for controlling multiple characters.
This was a stage he was messing with backstage earlier today, considering duplicating the door on the right. to get a chest and then, or to skipping a chest in that stage and then picking up the one in the corner here. But he hasn't really messed with it too much, so he's gonna stick to his normal route.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it either. I was just messing with it while we were doing some practice. And right there what's happening is Alice is hitting the spring just before the
One-way blocks.
Yeah.
The blocks become solid. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that they're one-way per se, but once you've gone through them, you can't go back. So you have to either trigger them one at a time or make sure that both characters go through at the same time. Which, of course, making them go one at a time is a little slower.
Wrong stage.
It should be mentioned the red fuzzball here cannot be killed and would kill him if he touched it, so he has to walk around it even though Alice does have a weapon to attack enemies with.
See, what I'm doing right there is I have one character that's, for pretty much most of this stage, I have one character to move the stage, or move up the tower, and another character to actually go through the tower. And that's just the efficient way to do that stage. The beginning of this stage is kind of hard. You have to kind of stagger yourself intentionally if you want to do it quickly.
I'm going to mention that us on the couch have worked on this game a bit, but we've actually worked on the game with a co-op patch where we could both control a character simultaneously. And so while we're familiar with the game in general, we're not really familiar too much with the single-player strategies that involve the very heavy multitasking that he's having to do right now.
It's a whole different beast. It is worth mentioning that that X symbol he just stepped on basically removes your ability to control that character.
Yeah, so since Marisa has the X above her head right now, she can only be auto-controlled. So at this point in the game decides, if you don't know how to use auto-controls, we're going to make you learn, because you're going to need them.
And that's the only stage in this entire run where that even happens. Because of the stages I skip. It's not a very fast mechanic to not be able to control your character since...
And as I said, since it's kind of like tutorial-ish in a sense, these stages with forced auto-walking segments tend to be a little slower paced.
This stage has a lot of fake blocks where you can see with the gears on here, they're kind of going in and out, and those are just kind of traps that exist in this game a lot. So this jump here, some of these jumps I'm doing are kind of precise, but you wouldn't actually know.
Yeah, so the game is called Trap Tower, and the game very much does live up to its name. Anytime you see him avoid a very suspicious-looking block, it's very likely that that block it's fake, or it has a trampoline that will shoot you into a spike, or does something that will kill you directly or indirectly.
Marathon look right here. I'm trying to dupe this chest, and it's not happening.
It should also be mentioned how he's dying right there. By pressing the buttons for switching characters and remote calling the other character at the same time, he can instantly suicide to reset the stage.
There are many points later on in the game where it is very possible to soft lock the game without that ability.
Or at least soft lock the stage. So, oh no, we're running out of time.
Like right there, you have to be really careful about the traps. If a character walks past the ladder, they will fall through a fake block and die. Like, this game's just full of traps, and it's honestly hard to remember them all. You start to get to a point where you start avoiding blocks by muscle memory, and you may not necessarily remember why you're avoiding the blocks. It's just, there's something dangerous about that. I don't trust it.
Well, that's just like a lot of the things I even do in this run. It's just, I forget a lot of what I even do some of these things for. And my muscle memory just needs to take over. If I really try and understand what I'm doing, it feels very weird.
Yeah, PinkPajamas has told me multiple times in practice that very often he'll have, for any given session of attempts for the game, he'll end up having one stage that haunts him for the day, and it's never the same stages. It's always something different. He'll just completely forget how to do one stage and have to drill it again to get it back into his memory. It's really easy to lose those kinds of things. So the best part about having this run as a single-player version instead of the co-op version is that the single-player version shows off the mechanic where the music changes depending on which character is active. If you're playing co-op, then the music never changes. So because he's playing single-player, you can hear both versions of all of the themes.
It's just a nice little attention to detail that essentially every song in the game gets split into 2 different tracks, unique to each character.
And this is one of my favorite stages just because it's pretty much pure platforming, and because of that, the stage just gets really fun to play. It's not very puzzle or trap heavy, but you get to use a lot of the call mechanics and even the mechanics of the characters themselves. So you get to have this kind of thing happen.
Yeah, that stage went really smoothly, and I know if I tried to play it single player, I'd just be like, how do I control both characters and jump them across pits?
So maybe now would be a good time for donations?
Sure. We have a $10 donation from Dan. Greetings from Okinawa, Japan. Had to stay up late to show my support for the Touhou block, but of course the greatness of Oregon Trail, Roundabout, and Stretch Panic made it easy. We have an anonymous $10 donation. First time I've been able to catch the event. Super excited for this block. Touhou 15 hype. Keep up the good runs, really loving it. And of course, save the animals. We have a $50 donation from Evok. First time watching and first time donating. $50 towards Link in his pajamas to prove to my mom that I don't need to get dressed to get stuff done.
Maybe I can tell a little bit about the history of this run. There's been a previous runner of this game, Spoody Biscuit, and he has done a few other runs of GDQs. He's not here at SGDQ, unfortunately, but I was able to take some strategies from him and improve them. So shout-outs to Spoody Biscuit for running the game beforehand, before I took it. Yeah. Right there, it's kind of slippery with, the physics are a little slippery in this game, but mostly the problem is that I am still half blind to what I'm doing, and I'm also trying to move Marisa forward a little bit, and because of the controls, it's a little tricky, because the call controls are kind of slippery, and having to move character one way and moving the character you're controlling the other way, it gets kind of tricky with like quickly doing a left, right, left, or right, left, right. And yeah. So this stage
The stage is awful.
it's awful, but because you can dig and set yourself up for falling on chests. You can dupe a lot of them, which saves us an entire stage, which is like really slow scrolling stage. And I could have duped another book there, or chest, but I didn't actually need to. I just needed to dupe 3. Only one of them is a little inconsistent. And this is my favorite type of auto-scroller here, free-falling.
I love the blocks at the end of Maurice's route that you have to dodge the blocks or else you get crushed by the tower.
Yeah, and this stage is very much of why it's a puzzle game. It's kind of hard to figure out the actual solution to this.
Yeah.
Fortunately, because I'm speedrunning, I know the solution, and it's more that my muscle memory knows the solution than I actually know the solution.
An important mechanic with any sort of blocks in this game that can appear and disappear is if a character is inside a block as it forms, then you die. And so playing this stage for the first time, you can very easily just completely forget where your characters are and turn on a block and kill them inside the block. And you have to be really careful about that. Or if you're playing co-op, you have to be very aware of what your partner's doing.
Don't kill your partner. I was about to say, Crimmy, the first time, the number of times one of us is crushed the other one there.
Yeah, learning that stage is rough.
We have an anonymous $2,950 donation. Puzzle games are the best, thanks to the GDQ organizers and players, and thanks to Doctors Without Borders.
Thank you very much for your generous donation.
Incredibly generous. Can we? Yep.
That slip past the red fuzzball. It gets me every time. I don't know about him. Maybe it's
No, what actually worried me more was sometimes Marisa can clip in the wall up there. You saw that in practice, Crimmy.
Yeah, there are some really odd things that can happen in the game when the screen shakes, because whenever the tower is done moving, it causes this
It causes a random shake.
It causes that random shake. Actually, I believe I remember hearing in the co-op version that caused desyncs between the two players because the randomness of the tower shaking would cause different results on both sides of the connection. Okay, so this stage is, as you can see in the upper left corner, the stage is called We're All Alive. It is an auto-scroller in which your progression in the stage is based on that white fuzzball getting to where he needs to go. Thankfully, since this is any percent, he's skipping basically like 2/3 of the blue tower. But if you're going 100%, which we on the couch, when we had tried working on this co-op, we were doing 100%. It's a very long stage. He missed the red block at the end of the stage and could not create the staircase to get Alice up the stairs. Because the game takes away control of a character once they've entered a door, you have to be very careful about that in some of the later stages where doors can be placed specifically as traps to mess you up, to essentially soft lock your stage and make you have to reset.
Yeah, here's kind of an example of a stage haunting me. It's very rare that this stage really gives me any problems, but it's happening now, and it's common for it to just happen on any stage, just 1 or 2 stages in any given run. I'll have to repeat it over and over. I guess 2 isn't too bad.
And the first time you pretty much had it, except for the last broom.
Yeah.
We have a $10 donation from Zero, donating earlier in the block so I can remember to donate in the Touhou block. Shoutouts to the 4 other Phantasmagoria of Flower View players, 2 of which have a good chance of beating me in the tournament next month. Can I get a take it easy from the couch?
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Yeah, you could have said to me.
Or
I don't speak Japanese. I gave it a
He
shot.
doesn't, I'll tell you. He doesn't.
Branch, would you like to give us a better one? Thank you.
Probably not going to get the S rank in here. Played it a little slow. Each stage has a different rank depending on usually how fast you do it. So if you skip some chests, then you don't quite get it. Okay, I barely got the S rank. There's also the God rank where if you do a stage especially fast, then you get like more than 100 points for that stage.
I'd like to point out how much, in this stage particularly, he's not paying attention to Alice at all until the final room, and because her auto-walking, the way he has her auto-walking set up, makes it that he just can focus pretty much entirely on Marisa for almost the entire stage.
Also, just to irk the completionists out there, there are several stages that are completely impossible to reach God rank on,
Yes.
as confirmed by the developer.
Generally, there are ones with shorter time limits, like there was one stage earlier that had 20-second time limit. There's one coming up. It's an interesting stage. I'll wait until it comes up to talk a little more about it, but once it comes up, there won't be much time to talk about it.
But there are plenty of things to say about it as well. This is the final.
This is the final
world.
tower.
Yeah.
The versus Desunoya tower. Desunoya being the developer of the game. He has a habit of calling the final stage in all of his games versus Desunoya, and they're always very challenging. Like, it's the point where he really likes to challenge his players, and very much makes it a developer versus the player game.
Which is probably the more fun part, I'd say, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is easily my favorite stage, just because there's a lot you can do, and dodging fireballs with these mechanics.
And the first time you play it, you just lose track constantly of your other character and die. Okay, so this stage is called 10 seconds, except that the timer starts at 9 seconds, so you already have less time than the stage advertises, and you got it first try, so that's good.
When I first beat that stage casually, my attempt counter was -15. I don't know if that means I actually underflowed the attempt counter or if it's somehow glitched in a way. So I don't know how many attempts it actually took for me to complete the stage.
Okay, so right here, he is actually using a new strat.
Brand new strat.
He found recently that he can bounce across these bunnies to hit the switch that Marisa is supposed to hit, because Marisa has the flight ability and Alice doesn't, so it's easier for Marisa to hit that switch. But by using the bunnies as platforms, I guess, he can jump across with Alice instead, and that saves. He says 20 seconds.
The person who found it was actually Ayafuyo Rocket, one of my stream regulars. Okay, I have to worry about that bunny there. That bunny.
The bunnies are destroyers of worlds.
Yes. It's I call it the killer bunny.
If you lose track of the bunnies and then respawn them later, they can very easily appear in situations where you can't predict them, and then they kill you because you're not paying attention. Wait, what?
I lost control. That's probably the worst place to die in the entire game right there. This is the longest stage, and
This stage takes a very long time to solve casually.
yeah.
And even less casually, it still takes a very long time.
It is a rough stage.
I don't want to do this again. Yeah, I was kind of afraid of this, and I should probably take it a little slower at the end there. I just got a little... I just kind of brain farted my controls there, which is very easy to do in this game.
We have a $50 donation from Momichi. Woke up early just to donate during the Touhou blog. I've never seen the Trap Tower speedrun, and it's blowing my mind how tight the execution is. Maybe when GDQ will see a Nitroid run? Putting this donation towards Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga Glitch Showcase.
I am going to comment, since it was brought up in the donation. I and another runner, another Touhou runner, GamerCal, had looked into Nitroid as a speedrun, another game by the same developer. But I think we decided that the game wasn't broken enough to really warrant speedruns because it was too well designed to break, is what we decided. I don't know. Maybe someone will decide to take that game up someday.
Or do stage 5 speedruns.
There we go.
Yeah, stage 5 of Nitroid is... Pretty much all of the other stages in Nitroid are a tutorial to stage 5. So this stage here is kind of an auto-scroller in the sense that if you don't know how to control both characters simultaneously, you will die. There's no way around it.
Yeah, but as you can see, there are these extra bubbles that essentially slow down the movement of the tower. But because he can control both characters efficiently, he doesn't care, and he even has to wait there for the characters to trade spots.
So I don't hit those bubbles.
And then once you hit the halfway point, they start adding more bubbles to speed up the tower even more.
So I'm going to do the stages a little out of order. I'm going to do the quote-unquote final stage right now because the real final stage is actually 8-6.
And we'll get to that stage when it comes up. But yeah, this is the final numbered stage in the game.
Yeah, I do that stage last just because when I'm on a good run and if I happen to get a good 8-6, then I would just lose my nerves and end up choking on some of these later stages. So having 8-6 last as the hardest thing in the entire game on the very end of the run is actually preferable.
Okay, so the second half of the stage here, you can see on both sides of the screen there is an up bubble and a down bubble, and you have to get both characters to trigger them at roughly the same time. Otherwise, you'll just slam the tower up or down off the screen and kill both characters. Sent always joked when we first discovered this stage that this stage is training for the Jaeger program. Gotta be in sync with both characters, or else you die.
Oh, and if you let that screen scroll up too far, there's a bunch of fuzzies that drop down
Yeah.
to kill you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is why I use the character I use first.
I was going to comment that arigato was written in blocks about the stage, but yes, that is also important, that if you wait too long, the red fuzzballs will just kill you. Okay, so this stage is the epitome of Trap Tower. There's a lot of silly stuff in the stage that you have to know where all of the false blocks are. You have to know where all of the extra blocks are. You can see Marisa's stage, Marisa's side of the tower has like 3 extra doors just to mess with you. Right there, you have to know about that secret wall, or else you get either stuck by the spike ball or the red fuzzball drops on you. It's just... it truly is the trap tower.
In the speedrun, though, it's actually really fun to do. It has a lot of speed tech involved, like a lot of little tiny things that can really optimize it.
Okay, so this is what we all consider the final stage, because it has a very tough segment at the end. Well, first of all, you have to go through all of this stuff with bouncing on these, luring these fuzzballs and bouncing across them to even progress through the stage. And then the ending has a very difficult part. It's actually so difficult that trying this game co-op, I've literally never beaten it with Center Branch. It's a really silly ending. It's actually easier in single player.
Yeah.
So down here at the bottom, you can see there's the blue fuzzball, which, as he's been doing throughout the entire stage, he has to use that blue fuzzball on the bottom as a bridge. But because of these one-time blocks, he has to move both characters across at the same time. This is actually okay in single player because the auto walk is the perfect speed for bouncing across this blue fuzzball.
That's a bit unusual.
And if you're playing in co-op, then you have to be much more careful about both characters making it across because one character isn't moving automatically.
Yeah, and those the blocks that I don't know what you would call them. Those kind of gray or black blocks.
The one-time blocks.
The one-time blocks. They're pretty tricky and not easy to work with at all. That's why it's so hard.
And this is why he saves this stage for last, so that a good run of this stage doesn't just make him go crazy.
And even in a marathon run, it just helps for the pacing. If I get stuck here a lot, you've pretty much already seen the entire game anyway.
Yeah.
Yep, this is what happens when you try and run this game. You could even have a very good run, and then you have to know that the very last second of the run, you can lose it all. And you lose more than an entire minute every time you do an attempt of this stage.
Well, since we've pretty much seen everything the game has to offer, I'd just like to give a shout out to Desanoia. Very great developer. Loves people playing his games. Love watching people play his games. I've actually had him show up in my stream a few times as I play some of his games. And just a really cool guy.
He's a speedrunner himself too, I believe.
Actually, most, if not all, of his development and testing team is speedrunners.
We have a $202 donation from Texel. Longtime viewer, first time donating. Big fan of Touhou and Doctors Without Borders, so who could want more? Trap Tower is fantastic, and Yu Yu Kengeki Musou, sorry about that, is one of the cooler Touhou fan games. Thanks for having such a cool event. We have a $20 donation from Crucial Twins. Hey guys, glad to see another successful GDQ marathon happening and really excited to see 2 Touhou games at this event. Was a little sad that there was no block prizes for it, but that won't stop me from donating toward a great cause.
Yeah.
And that's Trap Tower.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to say. I guess I could say my best time, which is about 30 minutes. I don't actually know the number of deaths I had in my best run, but I know that the very last 2 worlds were completely deathless in my PB.
And that's quite a feat. Those
Yeah.
last
The
2 worlds
final
are just
time?
really tough. What's our final time?
Within estimate. And with a trolley 8.6, that's why my estimate is so high. Yeah. I give my shout out. And I thank you all for watching. And thank you, Destinoya, for making the game. All right. Next game, we have Sent with That Yomu Game.
That Yomu game. Yes.
We wrote it as that Yomu game on the schedule, right?